In this video, we're going to talk about the XF 16mm f1.4, which is, in my opinion, the best lens for the Fuji X mount system. Hi, my name is Thierry Gibralta, an aspiring videographer and photographer based in Tokyo, Japan. And first of all, thank you so much, because we finally reached 100 subscribers after a month and a half. So that's great news, and so a little thank you, and I'll just let you know that I'll keep making videos. I'll keep talking about photography, videography, and Fuji gears. So if you want to know more about all those topics, and if you don't want to miss any videos, please subscribe to the channel. I will make sure to give you more videos, give you more contents. Thank you so much. So like many of you, I'm still at the beginning of my photography journey. I'm still trying to experiment, to find my style, find the type of photography that I like. And for that, I'm basically trying every type of photography that I can, meaning portraiture, landscape, product, like basically whatever the opportunity I have, I'm trying to, go for that type of photography, right? So because I'm trying to experiment, I am in the need of having a wide range of lenses. So I own a zoom lens, so the 55 to 200, some prime lenses for the street photography. For portraiture, I would use the 56mm f1.2. And for my wide angle lens, typically what I use is the 10 to 24. However, I found myself in a situation where, in basically low light situation, where I needed a faster lens, and I could not basically use my 10 to 24 because the 10 to 24 did not allow me to do what I wanted in that specific situation. So that is when I started to look for something else, something wide but a bit faster, that would allow me to go for this type of low light situation, right? So this is when, after some research, I came down with the 16mm f1.4. So I bought this lens basically used. I did not buy it new. I bought it used in Fuji in Nakano. By the way, if you need a used lens, I really recommend this shop, because they are really professional. They take care of the lenses. They properly let you know if there is any problem with the lens. They rate it, and it's honestly, you get good price. I bought it for about 800 bucks. I used, but with no particular problems with it. So I was really happy to buy it, and it's been about 6 months now. So I think I can give a proper opinion on it. So let's talk about first the disadvantage of this lens. I would say that number one, it's not a cheap lens. You won't get that for super cheap. I got it for 800 bucks, but I think if you buy it new, I would advise you that you buy it used. But if you want to buy it new, I think it's about 1,200 or 1,100 bucks right now. So it's not that cheap, right? Second, I would say that the size, it's not super tiny. You can feel a bit the weight, right? It's not like, I don't know, the 25 or the 23, sorry, or the 35mm f2. This is a bit bulkier. Not that bulky, but you still feel the weight. The third point is the autofocus. This is not a lens that will autofocus like super fast like the f2 ones. The autofocus is not terrible. It's not a linear motor lens. So you have the old autofocus system on this lens. So that's pretty much it for the disadvantages, right? So you have something that's a bit slow at autofocus, that's, I would say, not that cheap, and that it's a bit bulkier than the prime lenses, the prime wide lenses that you can find in the Fuji mount system. So now let's talk about the advantages for this lens. There are many of them. The number one advantage that I can see for this lens is versatility. As I told you, when you start photography, you don't really know what you want to shoot, or maybe I personally didn't know. I just wanted to shoot because I like it. Sometimes I feel like shooting portraits, sometimes I feel like shooting photography, sometimes I feel like shooting products, sometimes I feel like shooting, I don't know, stars, astral photography, right? And this lens can basically do everything like that. I never found a situation where I was like, yeah, I mean, well, maybe if you want to zoom like to a bird or something, but usually this lens can pretty much do it all because, well, it has that wide angle that you can use, but at the same time, it can focus at really close, it can focus at really close distance, right? So because of those two particular characteristics, you have a lens that can be used in a wide range of use, basically. Number two, sharpness. This lens is super sharp. Like even at f1.4, there is no particular problem with it. It's not soft at all. Even on the corners, you can see the sharpness through the whole image. You don't have any problem with this lens if you shoot at f1.4, f2, f8. It goes to until f16, right? It's sharp the whole time. So that enables the first point, basically. Because it's sharp all the time, you can use it for a wide range of application. And this is why it's a good investment, in my opinion. You will always be able to use it if you're able to make it work. Number three, fast aperture, right? So because it has a fast aperture, 1.4, you get some low light capability with this lens. And this was the first problem I encountered with the 10-24, which I'm using to film myself right now. While the 10-24 is a great lens, I'm still using it in some situations. You won't be able to do any low light shooting with it, right? Because it's an f4, it's not a great lens, it's not made for that type of shooting, right? I mean, maybe if you're on a tripod, but and coupled with the minimal focus distance, you can have great result with this lens because it allows you to have this f1.4 really close to the subject and give context with the wide angle, right? So you can have some really interesting shots and interesting point of view on the subject that you can isolate and still show the background, the blurry background with a lot of bokeh that, well, usually people like, right? So this lens allows you to do this. My next point is about the manual focus. So this lens allows you to switch from autofocus to manual focus just by pulling this little ring right here. So this is actually really useful when it comes down to videos because you can manually focus. Let's say you're shooting, I don't know, an interview or whatever you want to shoot, right? If you want to go from autofocus to manual focus, you can switch directly like this. Also, when you want to take those close-up with this lens, whether it's a video or photography, right? You can adjust the focus. Like, let's say the camera has a little problem, you know, focusing on it. You can adjust the focus like slightly using this ring just by putting it down like that. And that's actually really useful. I've used that several times, especially at first when I was trying to test this lens a bit. It's really convenient to have this mechanism because you don't have like to switch either in the menu or in the front button anymore. You just, you hold, I mean, that's how I shoot, right? I hold my lens. So I can just go like cluck, shoot it, and adjust a little bit the focus. But be careful because sometimes it can happen. It already happened to me that by accident it's like this. Oops, you try to focus and you don't understand why it doesn't. So it's for me it's an advantage because it's easy to use, but you can have some problem with it. So be careful about that. And final point about this lens that I like is that it's really challenging to use it actually. When I say challenging is that it has unique characteristics, right? It focuses really close. It has this wide angle. You can have great bokeh with it because you can have that separation between the background and the subject, right? And because of that, you can have some really interesting shots, but those interesting shots can only exist if you're able to understand how the lens works and how you can make it work with what you're doing at the moment. And in situations like, for example, I tried it for street photography also. It was really challenging for me because I had to get really close to my subjects sometimes if I wanted to get the bokeh, or I needed to, you know, reimagine the way I shoot compared to the 35mm f2, right? So It is really challenging lens because it will change the way you usually approach your shooting. Let's say, for example, I just gave you the example of street photography, but it will give you really different results and really original results, I would say. So I really like this lens because I always keep it with me, whether it's for landscape, street, portrait, etc. And because I keep it with me and I try to think about how I could use it, it kind of makes me better in that way. I kind of improve in my photography by just using this lens more. So that's why I really like this lens. For me, I mean, there's no other way around it, right? For me, it's my favorite lens, right? And that's about it, right? You have a lens that's challenging, I mean, for me, right? That I love to use, that can be used in so many situations, so that I always keep it with me. You basically have a lens that gives you all the reasons you want to shoot with it. Use it anywhere and try to challenge yourself using it. So that's why I just love it, and that's why I think if you start photography with the X mount system from Fujifilm, or if you still a really great photographer, right, you will still love this lens because it gives you that versatility while challenging yourself and trying to explore new options with photography. So that is why I think the XF 16mm f1.4 is considered by many as the best lens of the Fuji X mount system. So do you own the Fujifilm f 16mm f1.4 and how do you use it? I'm quite curious about that because maybe you know, you using it in a particular way will allow me to learn about it and, well, try to experiment with that way too. So let me know in the comment how you use it, I mean, if you own it, and if you don't own it and you're planning to buy it, well, let me know in the comment also. So I hope that you enjoyed this review, and if you enjoyed this review, please consider to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time for another video. I don't know, well, the Sakura season is coming soon in Japan, so maybe I should do some videos about that. And yeah, so I'll see you next time, and bye bye.